Our featured guest tonight is a true pioneer of the progressive rock world. As a creative force behind Ayreon and several other acclaimed projects, he's composed sprawling sci-fi sagas, built entire musical universes, and collaborated with some of the most iconic voices in rock and roll as well as metal. But beyond his epic scale and cinematic sounds, he is also a deeply thoughtful and introspective artist. And his upcoming solo record, Songs No One Will Hear, looks like it's going to prove once again why he is so beloved by his fans and musicians around the world. Here to chat about it all is none other than Arjen Anthony Lucassen. Arjen, welcome to the show.
Thank you for that introduction. So it's a bit scary. I kind of want to leave now because I'll never live up to that.
So Arjen, outside of the Beatles, which we'll get to shortly, what was your earliest musical memory?
Beatles, Floyd, Zeppelin, indeed.
Got it.
Is my holy trinity. So, but what did it start with? Yeah, I was born in 1960, so all the stuff you heard in the 60s, on the radio. But the Beatles was the first. I love their psychedelic period, but also their early period and everything basically. So,
was music a big part of your family or home growing up?
No, that's weird. Not at all. No, my father tried to dance a lot, but it was terrible. And my mother listened to the Ray Conniff singers or whatever, and it's terrible music. So no, I have no idea where it came from. I didn't have an uncle or something who was musical. It was just, I was always glued to the radio and always absorbing the stuff that I heard. And it was just me. Not my sister. I have to say my sister played a bit of guitar. She was kind of like this hippie, listening to Bob Dylan and stuff like that. So
it's crazy how many artists point to the Beatles as the moment they realized the power of music. What do you remember about the first time you heard them? Was that radio, TV, something else?
It was radio. Yeah. I remember it was, hey, you got to hide your love away. And it was that voice, John's voice. Especially, hey, you've got to hide your love. And when he went down there and there was that crack in his voice, it was, I just thinking about it. Give me goosebumps. So it was definitely John Lennon's voice that did it for me.
We just lost Ozzy Osbourne. And he once said, hearing the Beatles was like seeing the world in color for the very first time. Do you remember? I mean, did it give you goosebumps the same way that like it just did now the first time you heard it? Do you remember what you felt when those notes first started to play?
Oh yeah. I wanted to know everything about it. Who is this singer and what is this band? And you had no Google, you had no internet, nothing. They were not on TV, so you had to find out. But especially I'm the Walrus, man. That song scared the hell out of me. I was so afraid of that one. All the weird sounds going and huge influence on me.
I know you mentioned the Holy Trinity earlier for you. Who were some of the other British or American bands whose songs made it into the Netherlands when you were growing up and kind of kept your interest? Was there a lot of crossover into the Netherlands of, British, rock and even American rock or even prog rock that were making it into the Netherlands as you were growing up?
Well, as I said, it was not on the radio. It was not on television. I had to buy the magazines, the collector's items magazines. And I really had to find, and that made it interesting for me, If it would have been easy, maybe I wouldn't have been fascinated by it. But it was so hard to find these bands, and especially Prog, Of course, it started with Yes, Genesis, King Crimson and stuff like that.
And then came along Rush.
And then Rush, of course, yeah. 2112. I think, was that the first one for me? I think so, yeah.
That 2112 was the first one for me. I remember I was 4 years younger than my uncle. I think I was 12 and he was 16. And I heard 2112 for the first time and it was mind blowing.
Yeah. Especially, I think, like the narrative stuff that I do in Ayreon, that definitely came from Rush. Um, and of course, War of the Worlds with Richard Burton. That was amazing. And Thick as a Brick, you know. I can quote the whole album. I know the songs from beginning, the lyrics from beginning to end. Those were the days you had to put the vinyl on. You had to listen to the whole thing, and you couldn't skip. So yeah, good times.
So I once had the opportunity before everything was pre-programmed on the radio to do a little DJ stuff, and one of the things I would it would piss people off, but I would deliberately play longer songs that didn't normally get airplay.
Excellent.
And so that would leave you with things like, Thick as a Brick, Home by the Sea by Genesis,
Yeah.
Things
Tubular
that
Bells.
yeah, because they wanted commercial breaks, but it was fun.
Oh, good one.
Yeah, but you'd have something that was, I think the shortest thing was maybe a live version of a Rush song, which was still going to be 7 minutes. You know what I mean? So, no, it was still funny. So, connected, but perhaps different. What was the first moment in your life that you realized music could tell stories, and not just good, but actually kind of like transport people? Was there a band or album that did that for you?
Yeah. Jesus Christ Superstar, without a doubt. Really, my mother liked it, so I wasn't supposed to like it. You're not gonna like what your parents like. But then I heard like Ian Gillan, and I heard those high screams, and it was like, okay, let's give it a chance. So I took the album, and of course it came with lyrics, reading all the lyrics, and I was in that story. That was the first time where I realized that lyrics could and story and a concept could add an extra dimension to the music.
Well, it's funny because you say you're not supposed to like the things that your parents like, but my stepfather loved, Jethro Tull, and
whoa.
and I actually, about maybe 13 feet from me, have the original Thick as a Brick with the whole newspaper inside.
I got it. Yeah, I got it on my wall here. So
yeah, with the full newspaper inside, because you.
Oh yeah, with all the little Monty Python jokes in it.
Yes, exactly.
Guess who quacked the duck he's talking to this week? And you saw this beautiful naked woman when you connected the dots. Yeah, I still remember. Yeah, beautiful.
Those were the days when you could get an album cover like Sticky Fingers with a zipper on it.
Oh yes, yeah.
So. What do you consider to be like some of the seminal moments in the formation of your musical taste? I mean, there's so many influences in your discography. In some ways, it kind of feels like a mosaic of several different worlds, no?
It is, because my musical taste is so wide. It's really not just metal and prog. I think I started really getting interested in music in the glam rock days, which was 70, 71. It all started with TUX for me. And then, of course, you got the usual suspects, Alice Cooper, David Bowie, Slade, all that stuff, the Sweet, I wanted to be Brian Connolly of the Sweet, I remember like putting things on my head so it looked like as if I had long hair, because I was not allowed to have long hair, my mother. The Sweet was a big thing for me. And in those days you had to buy the singles. They didn't really make cool albums or whatever. And I had to like wash all the cars in the street to be able to buy this single. It was 5 guilders, I remember, for a single. And it was magic. And of course it was like, what's the B-side like? Because the A-side of the Sweet songs was always this commercial song, but the B-side was their own song, and it was like a rock song, so it was always like, oh, what's the B-side going to be like? Yeah.
That's funny. Was there ever a point in those early years where you felt like you could see kind of beyond the genres of the time, that you kind of had a dream of what rock, metal, or prog could become like for you in your own way?
I think that started Actually, I was so into glam and I wanted to be in a band. So I started a playback band, just miming with my mother's wig on and her jewelry. And I don't do that anymore, by the way. Um, playing all these, really playing a lot at schools, performing this glam rock stuff. Um, but then one of the pupils came to me, "Ah, that's for kids, that stuff. You should listen to this." And then he gave me Made in Japan by Deep Purple. And I think that changed everything for me. It was like, okay, I can't be lazing around anymore. I got to learn to play the guitar for real. And that's when the world opened up for me when I heard that album.